How's it going, everyone? Jiivita here with an overview video for testing 244. This was labeled as Stability and Smarter Smart Stacks, but it also sees the return of the Gleambow event with some pretty amazing additions, so I'm happy that I waited to do a video over this patch until it was actually live. With the revisiting of the Gleambow event, we also have an amazing new sanctum. Looks awesome. It was designed apparently by Ovis Gaming. If you're unfamiliar, he has his own YouTube channel and makes some really amazing content over there. He's featured on my channel, so be sure to check him out if you haven't already. I'll also throw a link in the description. So on the stability side of things, one of the biggest fixes, at least for me, was that on PC there was a edge case kind of bug that anytime you exited a user interface, or maybe you were had the game not focused, like you're using a web page and you come back to the game, sometimes the left mouse button would essentially get stuck down, meaning that whatever is in your left hand would be spammed until you clicked on the button again. I've certainly heard of many situations where players unfortunately had bombs in their hands or hammers and caused quite a bit of damage inside of their builds. Usually I didn't have anything destructive on my left hand, however my loot magnet is almost always a chisel, so yeah, if there's anything that's misrotated or there seems to be a weird square chisel block somewhere, it's probably due to this bug, and it was pretty annoying. So far so good. I have not run into that bug again, and hopefully it is fixed for good. Another long-standing issue with smart stacks was fixed, especially in relation to shop stands. So essentially, if you had a smart stack of, say, creature glands, so if we take a look over at this shop stand right here, you can see it has not only the mutated Gleambow sack that's new to the Gleambow event, but we also have these other sacks. There's a price set to this item, but not these others. So if you were a customer trying to purchase this, you literally would not be able to open up this smart stack or interact with it in any way to buy the item that actually had a price on it. This functionality or this kind of bug has now been fixed, and customers will be able to open the smart stacks and pull out the items for sale and actually purchase them. So particularly nice, and it was really annoying, you know, finding that item that you wanted. It was for a really good price, but you just couldn't buy it. And of course the shop owner was none the wiser unless they had run into the bug themselves, or if somebody took the time to try to actually contact them and let them know that, hey, I can't buy your 500 bones or really, you know, maybe a piece of meat or something because it was smart stacked with another like item. Another thing that was fixed, but I didn't see it mentioned anywhere in the patch notes, is that the on icy ground debuff, and I would assume by extension the frozen debuff given by frozen creatures on chill worlds, now actually works. I haven't tested whether or not the debuff from chill creatures works, but what this does is it makes all blocks somewhat slippy. It's not as strong as, say, ice or slide, but it is definitely noticeable. And so yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the creature debuff has been fixed as well. This quirk is actually fairly useful, or can be useful in situations, because it gives 40 fall armor in addition to this effect. So before, it really just gave you free falling armor, but now the slippy part of the debuff actually works, and you really don't notice a whole lot until you try to actually walk up a ramp. And as you can see, I actually slide down, and in certain situations I can't even get up it, but a little bit of running, you can eventually get up a ramp. And also, if you didn't know, you can hold down C and it prevents the sliding completely. So if you get up, which is a handy little trick, as it can also be used as a brake to prevent yourself or to stop yourself from sliding if you get going particularly fast. I also noticed that this does seem to stack with other slippy type blocks, so if you have this quirk or maybe even the debuff from creatures and you're already on ice, it is very, very slippy. Of course, you can still jump to kind of change your direction and get a little speed boost, but all in all, pretty interesting, and it's hardly even noticeable on flat surfaces, at least as far as the quirk is concerned. But moving along to the main attraction of this patch is the return of the Gleambow event and all of the new additions that come along with that. So as you might have noticed, I have a new wearable, the Gleam Bubbler, which is pretty awesome. It's got the little rainbow swirlies, but then actually blows out bubbles. We also see the return of the previous wearable, so there's the Gleamicorn, the rainbow shades, star eyes as well. There's also new craftables, so now there are star statues that you can craft. They're kind of put you in the mind of trophies, and as you can see, there are different colors, and the color is dependent on the metal used. So of course we have your copper, iron, silver, gold, and titanium. So now we actually have somewhat of a use for titanium bars, as you don't have to use the alloy versions of the precious metals. And while we're on that side note, you can actually now craft titanium doors as well via the same kind of mechanic, as far as I'm aware of. Apparently there was an issue to where you couldn't actually craft titanium doors that I didn't even know was an issue, because I guess I've never tried to craft a titanium door. But moving along, we also have 3 new consumables, 4 if you count this amazing Gleambow augment. You can actually put this into a totem, shoot the sky, and it will summon a Gleambow meteor for you to be able to complete. It does mention that the mobs that it summons will not drop the mutated Gleambow sacks, which is used to craft all of these consumables, as well as this Gleambow augment. So in other words, you can't summon meteors to be able to summon meteors indefinitely. However, the devs have mentioned that you'll be able to use these even after the Gleambow event ends. So you'll still be able to summon Gleambow meteors essentially throughout the year, as long as these things are still around. Of course, like other totem augments, they are a one-time use, so when they're gone until the next event. First off, we have the Gleamberry Jelly. This will allow you to jump 3 meters higher, as well as protect you from all fall damage. So that is pretty amazing. It doesn't say right off the bat how long it lasts. All of these are fairly on the short duration side, so it's not like you're going to get 40 minutes of this effect. Let's go ahead and pull that out for now. Next up, we have the Gleam Pop, which I have to say actually looks pretty tasty and has a star kind of embedded in the middle of it, so that is pretty cool. But this one has the amazing effect of essentially giving you Frostwalker. Anytime you walk out across water, the water will instantly be frozen. Not only that, the ice kind of fades into the next color in kind of a rainbow type pattern. So now you'll be able to essentially run across large bodies of water, where before you would have to simply swim across them at a slower speed. And then last but certainly not least, we have the Gleamberry Juice. This is packed apparently with magnetized Gleambow particles, essentially turning your character into a loot magnet. So this increases the drop collection range by 9 meters, and it will be interesting to see if this stacks with, say, a loot magnet, giving you up to potentially 18 meters of loot attraction. So that will be fairly interesting to try out. And then finally, we have new Gleambow Oort dolls, or figurines here. They kind of mix it up a little bit, and it's a whole new model, complete with this really cool kind of translucent or transparent base here in kind of rainbow. But if you look closely enough, you can actually see the wood grain through the rainbow glass base, or maybe it's made out of Gleam. But pretty cool. It's got the rainbow totem. Very, very nice. An important addition to this Gleambow is the mutated Gleambow sacks. So these are collected from the Gleambow cuddle trunks that are spawned by the Gleam meteorites. These cuddle trunks appear to only have one hit point, or at least they only take one hit to actually defeat them. They'll drop prime meat as well as a chance for these mutated Gleambow sacks. Whether or not luck affects that drop rate, it's unclear. But these are the new Gleambow resource used to craft all of the Gleambow consumables and decorations. So depending on what you're really after, if you're after the colorful blocks from the meteor itself, great, go for that. Otherwise, it might actually be more beneficial to you to hang out around the meteor and farm the cuddle trunks as they come out. Two generally come out at the same time. You can defeat those, and a little bit later, a couple more will come out. So something I do is wait until there's about 20 seconds left on the meteor before I actually complete it. You can go ahead, maybe take a few swats at it, get it a little bit low, and then farm the Gleam cuddle trunks, and then complete it just before the meteor fails. Or just focus on the Gleam cuddle trunks and forego the meteorite if you're not even interested in the blocks. Say it's thorns or mud or something that you don't care to have those particular blocks. Okay, so let's check out some of these consumables. I'm most excited to try out this Gleam Pop. The star actually glows inside of the popsicle, so that is pretty cool. But let's go ahead and eat this and try it out. Oh, oh, that is pretty awesome. And it doesn't, let's see here, what is this actually made out of? It is ice, but it doesn't feel slippy. So I guess it's maybe it's a special effect of the buff that it doesn't actually slow you down. And it looks like I am not the first person to have run across this particular lake with the buff. So if you run across somebody else's trail, yeah, I mean, okay, so you can kind of fall underwater and under the right circumstances. And it seems to last a reasonable amount of time. Let's see if it gives me, let's see here if I hit the right button. So I currently have 30 seconds left on it. And it's probably affected by zeal, which I do have maximum zeal. So it may only last for, say, a minute or so, but then the zeal is probably giving me extra duration. So essentially you could also use this to farm particular colors of ice as well. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so yeah, once the buff wears off, the ice then acts normally. So that's actually really cool. You could use this almost to help you navigate ice fields easier, assuming it removes the slippy effect from natural ice as well. Next up we have the Gleamberry Jelly, and this gives us extra jump height as well as immunity to fall damage. So I also have a floating pie that I'm going to have to see if it works together. And might also be interesting to see how this works with the jump, the double jump essentially. So let's pull out a floating pie. Oh, right, okay, so yeah, the floating pie is going to overwrite the food buff. So, as you can see, it's, it gives you, looks like an extra meter of jump height over the floating pie. That and the floating pie only gives you some falling armor rather than complete immunity. But 200 fall armor, especially if you have a really small HP pool, is pretty decent. Just to see if this affects the double jump. Ooh. Kind of looks like maybe it does affect the double jump. That is pretty crazy. Just about can fly with this stuff. That definitely feels like more than just one block. which is what the second jump normally does. So that is pretty awesome. Yeah, you can just about fly with this thing. Oh, that is just crazy. Look at that. Let's see here. Oh. Okay, so I set up a little experiment here because our last one to test is the one that basically turns us into a loot magnet. So it gives us 9 meters of loot attraction, and the main thing I want to see is that to see if it stacks with a loot magnet. Go ahead and drink this, and it should automatically loot this creature. There we go. Bring out our loot magnets, and yeah, it should be able to draw in twice as far, but it looks like that those effects do not stack. So it's one or the other as far as that sort of thing goes. So good to know. But certainly, I mean, it looks like it's only going to last basically 2 minutes. Let's take a look here. So yeah, we're already down to 1 minute, so it probably lasts 1 minute on its own, and then with maximum zeal, maybe you get like 1.5 minutes or so. An interesting effect, considering that the Gleambow meteors only last basically 1.5 minutes themselves. I can see why these are pretty short-term buffs. But outside of that use case scenario, it's kind of debatable how useful this particular buff is, because you just pull out your loot magnet and be able to loot everything, especially considering it takes up your food buff. So okay, let's try out this Gleambow augment. So just click it into the totem, and it says to shoot it up into the sky, but you know, okay, so yeah, it looks like it won't let me shoot the ground. So I have no clue. So yeah, I can shoot it pretty much anywhere in the sky. So let's do right above us. I mean, it'd be cool if it would land right on our head, but I'm guessing it's just going to randomly spawn a meteor, and it's going to drop wherever it wants to drop. So it looks like it's going to be way over there somewhere. That's an interesting platform. Okay, oh nice, a level 2. So these cuddle trunks shouldn't drop the Gleam sacks. Ooh, and it's a glass and Gleam meteors. That is really nice. Oh, and I already have competition. That's not very nice. So I guess we'll see. Yeah, just meat. Okay, so very nice. So we got quite a bit. Ooh, shadow red glass and a little bit of Gleam. Looks like it was mostly glass. So very nice. Kind of wanted to take my time completing it, but you know, when you got somebody else helping you to complete the meteor, you know, time is of the essence. Okay, well I think that covers pretty much all of the new additions and bug fixes, so let's talk a little bit about the Gleambow event itself. The bare minimum that you're going to need to be able to participate in this event are the, let's see here, Gleambow totems. So in order to actually break the meteor, which is required to actually complete the meteor, you'll need this special tool. Good thing to note is that the damage of the tool does not matter. It will always enemies one-shot the blocks and the cuddle trunks associated with the meteors. So in other words, if you wanted to make a specialized spec just for Gleambow meteor hunting, you basically don't have to take anything that relates to damage. Another good thing to note is that these totems are forgeable, so you can even put the AoE boon on them, or simply buy one that already has the forge effect on it. The next thing that's kind of important is action speed, so I would definitely max out your dexterity for maximum action speed. You can also forge extra action speed, and you can also use mega fast brews, or really any kind of fast brew, to increase your action speed even farther. A good thing to note is that if you max out all of your stats and you're using a fast brew, you really only need an extra 15 action speed on your forged totem to completely max out or cap out your speed for using that tool. So kind of give you a little bit of nice information there if you're planning on buying these from somebody else. However, at least with an AoE Gleambow totem with a little bit of action speed, I found it pretty unnecessary to use a fast brew. It's good to note that this time around, Gleambow meteors only fall on tier 3 lush worlds and higher. So in other words, it has to be a lush world and a lush world that already has meteors on it. This change was probably due to the fact that Oort Stone became a little bit scarce during the previous Gleambow events, and this way the regular hunts can still continue on the higher level worlds or just different world types and not disrupt the Oort supply quite so much. Another thing to note about the Gleambow meteors is that they don't stick around for very long. So once they hit the ground, you essentially have maybe 2 minutes to complete the meteor. Granted, since the meteor is probably going to land before you're even in the area of it, you're looking at a minute to a minute and 30 seconds depending on how fast you can get to the meteor after it lands. You might imagine having some high quality grapples can mean the difference between reaching your target and missing it completely. So here we have an example of a really nice grapple. It has 85 meters of projectile speed, allowing you to connect to your target more quickly. It has a very long range, which is very handy for getting across large bodies of water, and then also has reel in and reel out speed, allowing it to pull you even faster. So highly recommend getting some of these grapples. It'll make your endeavors much more productive. And talking a little bit more about skills, if you just want to go all out and make a dedicated skill page just for Gleambow hunting, I would recommend as much control as you feel like you need. This is going to increase the range at which you can hit blocks and creatures with your totem, so essentially you can turn your melee weapon into practically a ranged weapon. This will also help to keep the regular creatures from even noticing you, as it gives you increased stealth. Dexterity kind of speaks for itself, as it gives you more action speed, as well as agility for movement speed. I generally like to run maximum luck just in case what I'm doing is affected by it. However, the Gleambow Cuddle Trunks may or may not be affected by the luck attributes. So you might be able to get away with not having this, but I tend to rather take it and be safe than potentially miss out on drops. You can also pick up maximum zeal, not only for the energy to be able to swing that totem for longer, which you really aren't going to run out of energy anyway, but it also increases the duration of your food buffs. So that's going to be the Gleambow consumables, as well as maybe like a floating pie, which is probably what I would recommend using since it lasts significantly longer. And then of course attribute bonus to top off the rest of your attributes, though you could argue this is not really necessary. I went ahead and took the energy epic, since fall damage is based off of a percentage of your health bar, and having more health basically, works against you in this use case scenario. I also take the Shadow Effect Epic just for that much more stealth, so I don't have to worry about the natural creatures. As you can see, I didn't even use up the full 100 skill points, so I was just kind of looking for places to spend extra points. Down here, really the only thing I view as being necessary is falling armor. The Gleambow Cuddle Trunks can pick you up and throw you through the air, so having some fall armor can go a long way to protect you from that type of damage. It's also good to note with this size HP bar and maximum falling armor along with a floating pie which gives you another 200 falling armor, it essentially makes you immune to all fall damage. You can still take a little bit in certain situations, say falling from a very high building onto stone or rock of some sort. However, it pretty much guarantees that you won't be killing yourself either by grappling into a wall or falling from pretty ridiculous heights. Next up, I took the Durability Drain Epic just so that my Gleambow totems last a little bit longer. Pretty, not exactly necessary, but it's one I usually like to take. I also took the Jump Distance Epic for the extra jump height, especially with the floating pie. This is very nice, which will give you a maximum jump height of 5 meters, so that is very nice. Originally I took the Energy Regeneration Epic just for extra energy regeneration. However, I found I wasn't running out of any energy whatsoever, and the extra air jump that you get from the Air Jump Epic is reasonably useful. And since Gleambow meteors only spawn on lush worlds, tier 3 and higher, as far as atmospheric protection, you really only need 1 point in caustic protection, unless a tier 5 or higher exo world that's lush happens to spawn. However, I'm not even sure that's technically possible, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. I also took the Protection Epic since I did take some of the Kinetic Armor and Impulse Armor above. However, I've yet to be in a situation where these skills were actually utilized. In other words, basically nothing attacks me given that I have maximum control in the Stealth Epic. So basically there's 15 points that you could put somewhere else to better use. Okay, well I think that covers everything pretty well. The Gleambow event has seen some really nice additions. I wish some of the buffs lasted a little bit longer, but given the nature of the event, they do fit. So happy hunting. This was Jiivita. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more like it, and if there's anything you didn't like, please let me know down below. Also, if you like my channel and want to get cool perks, check out my Patreon page. Until next time, peace. You